Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before we start, I want to thank you for the views and the likes that we've got on the previous video. You guys are amazing. Now for today's video, we are going to take a look over some custom minifigures in which I used the D&D CMF series minifigure parts. And as you can see, I tried to make a very good and diverse selection of minifigures. So let's see what I prepared for this video. The first minifigure is a historically accurate Viking. I used the torso from the Dwarf Barbarian, the legs from a Viking minifigure, as well as the shoulder guards. After that, I added a historically accurate Viking helmet and I used the beard because this type of Viking helmet looks very odd without a beard. And as weapons, I used a dual molded spear and a Viking shield. For me personally, I love the Viking aesthetic. It brings beautiful vibes to minifigures. And I would love a Viking theme. But one thing that I don't like about the Lego Vikings are the helmets with the horns. These horns look very goofy and make the minifigures look disproportionate. That's why I like the historically accurate helmets. But this as a minifigure is a very solid minifigure. It has cool details and a very good historically accurate vibe to it. The second minifigure is what I like to call the Cosmic Warrior. This minifigure is actually the Geet Warlock without the shoulder guards and the hairpiece, to which I added a blue cape and hood that goes right along with the minifigure parts of the Geet Warlock. And as a weapon, I used a lance with the shield from Orion from the CMF series 26, I believe, the one with the space minifigures. And I would like to add the comment that these guys were inspired by some cultists of Orion, and a bit with the Sohei, which were Japanese Shaolin warrior monks that were in feudal Japan. This minifigure has unique looks, a unique weapon, and the shield from Orion brings a unique aesthetic and lore to the minifigure. The next minifigure is a Wandering Trader. This may be a simple minifigure, but it is very unique and it fits very well in a market scenery. I use the legs and the torso from the Tiefling Sorcerer, the head from the Cobra Singer, and the white turban, but this has gotten a bit old, I know, and it looks very yellowish and dusty, but I think it adds more to the character and gives it a dusty, deserty look to it, and brings more life to this minifigure. And I also given him a sack in which he sells his goods. I know it's a simple minifigure, but for me this minifigure looks flawless. I don't know why, but there is something to the minifigure that makes it perfect. So, moving on. The next minifigure is a paladin. This minifigure portrays the perfect design for a classic knight that we know in shining armor, and I like the way that the print of the Dragonborn Paladin goes very well with those shoulder guards. And I would like to add the fact that I've got a lot of Dragonborn Paladins, and I plan to build an army with them because it's a very cool minifigure, and I would like to make a custom factions out of them because I like it a lot, and that will be in a future video. But until then, this is the base design for the Blue Dragon Knight. I don't know how the community calls them, but yeah, this is not much to say to it. I use the Great Helm, a longsword, and silver shoulder guards, which go right along with this torso design. And I like this look for this character, and that's why I plan to make an army of them. And yeah, this is the classic knight in shining armor. The next minifigure is a Viking Infantryman. This is relatively a simple minifigure because I used the color from the Dwarf Barbarian and the torso from the Halfling Druid, in which I added some parts from Vikings, a brown spear, and the Viking shield. Although this looks very simple, it looks very nice. The aesthetic of the Viking is again held very well in this minifigure. That's why I like the design that I came up with. Not to mention just the simplicity, but the amount of details are very on point, and you know what this minifigure is without me telling you what it is. It's a very good minifigure, and the Halfling Druid torso looks very good with this forest Viking vibe. I like it a lot. So let's go to the next minifigure. So the next minifigure is a Forest Ranger. This is the best minifigure that I've came up. It fits so well with the parts that I used. I used the torso from the Arancora Ranger, the legs from the Elf Bard, the cape and the hood from the Halfling Druid. Then I used a quiver and a longbow. Maybe I'll increase their numbers one day because I would like to have more of them for my medieval castle world. The next minifigure is the Mind Flayer, which I haven't changed a lot. I just added some Batman capes to it to look more menacing. I think the lack of capes and more details made the original Mind Flayer design very underwhelming for a lot of fans, including for me. That's why I'm not a big fan of the first design of the Mind Flayer. This is why I tried to redesign him, I would say, but in my way. So I added those capes and I made a staff for him to take over his victim. There's not a lot of things to say about this minifigure, so yeah, this is the updated Mind Flayer. The next minifigure is supposed to resemble a Eastern European noble. This minifigure was made by using the legs and the torso from Stradvon Zarovich because it gives a lot of resemblance from Vlad the Impaler, the lord from Wallachia, which was an Eastern European prince. I used this Dragon Master's helmet and this golden decoration to make him look like a nobleman and a red cape. I gave him a Fright Night shield because it added a cool resemblance to vampires. Vlad Dracula was the inspiration for the vampires, and I gave him this long halberd. This minifigure has quite the unique look. It looks very well, but different at the same time from the other minifigures. That's why I like it a lot. The next minifigure is a Harpy. Now I know this minifigure may look very bland, but I tried to use the torso from the Elf Bard, which is my least favorite piece that came out with the D&D series. But I tried to add those Harpy parts to it and customize it. I tried to make him a mage or continue it with the Bard or make him a warrior, but I don't think that they suit him. But I tried to use this part to something, but I don't think I made it look very well. So yeah, this was my attempt using the elf bar torso by adding some harpy pieces. So tell me in the comments, what do you think? Now the next minifigure is the Dragonborn Sorcerer. This minifigure is looking very good and I'm proud of what I managed to do with it, because the Lady of Pain is a very specific minifigure with very specific parts and they don't fit with a lot of pieces, but I added the Dragonborn Paladin's head to it and given him some lightning to summon out of his hands, and I made him a sorcerer. I like the fact that the Dragonborn Paladin head goes along with the golden accents from the Lady of Pain torso and dress, and the color scheme seems natural to the minifigure. That's why it doesn't seem forced or off, because it is a very good color scheme which fits the minifigure perfect. So yeah, this is the Dragonborn Sorcerer. The next minifigure is the Nomadic Warlock. For this minifigure I used the Barbarian Warrior from series 25 and the hairpiece from Stradvon Zarovich and the shoulder guards from the Geet Warlock. I used the transparent red skull from the Zestam minifigure to make this staff, and I gave her the fire spell to use on its enemies. This minifigure is very unique and it gives a cool nomadic vibe to the Warlock. I like how it looks and how it feels the medieval world. It's a really good minifigure after all, so moving to the final minifigure. The last but not least minifigure is the Mercenary Crossbowman. For this minifigure I used Tasha the Witch Queen's torso and legs, a quiver and an old peasant's hood piece. I wish LEGO still produced these hood pieces because they look very well on archers and on crossbowmen, and as weapons I gave him a crossbow and a dagger from the Geet Warlock. This is a very cool minifigure and I would like to army build some of these crossbowmen because they will look very good in a mercenary retinue or as bandits. The color scheme looks pretty good and I like how it turned out to be. Now this was my custom D&D minifigure selection. For the future I plan to do more customs. I would start to do some army building and I would start to do some mocks. And if you have many other suggestions to what should I do in the future, just comment down below. And at the end of the video I will always tell you to subscribe, like this video, share with some friends, because it will help my channel grow, and not only the channel but the community as well. Thank you for watching. I wish you all a good morning, a good night and a good day. See you soon.